Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for choosing to spend your afternoon here with Diksesh and myself. For those who don't know, I'm Patricia and I do a podcast show to help people maximise property values. It's called Maximising Property Values, and I've posted a link above. So if you tap on it and you see your favourite listening app, then you can subscribe to the show. And if your favourite listening app isn't there and you want to subscribe to the show, do let me know and I will submit it to that. But it's on the popular platforms. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, Google, Audible. But usually when I talk on the first day of the month, once a month, so my last podcast was released today, it's a monologue. So my stuff is a monologue. But since November, I've been having some really lovely guests who've come on here via Clubhouse to share their experience and what they do with all of us. And then I take the Clubhouse recording and then I post that as a podcast. So the one that Diksesh and I are going to be doing today is going to be released as a podcast next week on Wednesday. So that's how that goes. But in the meantime, it will be on Clubhouse for a week. So my guest today is Diksesh Patel. Let us get to know Diksesh a little bit more today. So, who is he? Diksesh is a performance coach focusing on the mind, body, and business. There you are. Everything that could be important to you, he focuses on those things. He is also a partner to my guest of a few weeks ago, Emmanuel Ezekiel, in the Peak Performance Property and its Academy, which aims to help people 10 times their business within 12 months. Diksesh is also a financial, and these are my words, matchmaker through Lighthouse Capital Group. Diksesh, welcome to Maximising Property Values. But before we go into your various activities, we would like to get to know you a bit better. And guess what? I was thinking about, what questions shall I ask Diksesh? And I always have to ask the questions that I don't think people are going to be expecting to be asked. So your so your questions are exactly the same as Emmanuel's, because I bet you weren't expecting me to do that. Anyway, so you've got 4 questions as well. Because do you know what? I actually see the pair of you. When I think about either of you, I think of you together as twins. And I know you're not twins, but in my mind,
Might have to airbrush him a little, or me the other way. Yeah.
you are forever linked in my mind. So, and what Clubhouse has put together, or what the universe has put together, let no man put asunder. Right. Okay. So, 4 questions you've got. The number one: what do you admire most in people, and who do you admire the most? And that is one question. I'm cheating.
Ooh, gosh. Who do I admire the most? Um, I actually quite admire my mum. I'll be honest. As soon as you mentioned it, I was thinking about all sorts of other things like entrepreneurs, like Richard Branson and whatnot, and I would no, it's got to be my mum. She came to this country in the early 70s from East Africa with a 3-year-old son, 2-year-old daughter, and a 1-year-old son. So that's 3 of us. And to put things into context, to come into a country without an understanding of language systems, probably, I think my father came here with about £100 in his pocket, which I'll come into a little story about in a minute. And then to migrate to a completely alien environment at that time, um, I put hats off to her. I've no idea how she did that. I certainly wouldn't have the what's the word, the confidence, or even the tenacity to pull something like that off, because I've got 2 boys myself, and I can't imagine what they were, especially she was going through, because she put a lot of the effort in the early years with the kids. And again, to put things into context, back in those days, the Indian male wasn't the most, what's the word, helpful, if I can say that. Not to be completely disrespectful, I could probably get away with saying that, being an Indian person myself. And I've grown up to know how not to be a man, but also how to behave and move forward in the real world. So it's my mum. Admiration. She's still around. My father passed away sort of over what 30, well, nearly 30 years ago, actually, and she's just kept going through all sorts of trials, tribulations, adversities, ups and downs. Yeah, amazing. So my mum, in 2 words.
Wow. Do you know, as a mother myself, I cannot imagine what she what was going through her mind when she actually did that, when the decision was made, every single day when she supported the family. So, although I don't know her, utmost respect. And when you next speak to her, just say there's this woman on Clubhouse who says, "Oh, thank you for flying that flag for women. Well done to her." And
To
I'm
give you an
glad that she's
idea,
still
yeah.
around.
So sorry to interrupt. To give you an idea, she was 22 at the time. I
No
can't
way.
imagine how she was
Oh
22
my goodness.
at the time. So that's it. That makes it even more just unbelievable.
Wow. Do you know women? Okay, we won't go into women right now, but no,
Yeah,
that
no, no.
that 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 says so much. 22. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Oh no, utmost respect, utmost. Okay, fine. So the first bit of the question: what do you admire the most in people? It's bravery. It is, the confidence to do. Yeah, I'm just taking these things from what you said about your mum. Confidence to follow your desire and follow your beliefs, and also love. Because only
Yes,
love could have kind of like made her do that and do it so successfully.
absolutely. I think it's the other thing also to put things into context, as all great mothers do. Their first survival instincts actually kick in for their kids. And also, I'm not suggesting father we are like that as well, but with a mother, you've got the bonding, right, which a man can't ever have, right, from birth and everything like that, right? So that I think the survival instincts of a mother kicks in, and it's a very powerful bond that has been created, and I've always continued to. Look up to her. Yeah, she's amazing to get through the last 50 years now. Blimey, it has been that long since she's been here.
Wow. Do you know what you say about the bond? It is so true. And they survive. A mother will do anything for her children. And we just need to look at the animal world to actually see that in play. Go and touch like a lion's cubs. It will probably be the last thing that unless they're properly tamed. But in the wild, you go do that. It'll be the last thing that you ever do. And I remember when I was young, and well, young, yeah, young, and I got married. Well, before I got married, I thought, oh, I'm so in love. I'm so in love. And I got married. Oh, I'm so in love. And then I had a child, and I thought, now I understand what love really means. And also, I so remember reading the Bible when I was young, and talking about sacrificing, and God so sacrificed His only begotten Son, and this because He so loved the world, and yeah, and they were just words. But that at that point, I began, as a Christian, to appreciate the love of God, because to sacrifice your child, it I could not, my mind could not work it out. But yeah, when you are a mother, it, it's love on a different level. So I completely get what you're saying there, Diksesh. Um,
Totally.
yeah. Right. So your question number two: what do you detest the most in people, and why is that so?
Oh, that's a great bloody question. So that drives down into first starting point is us and our own internalized values, core values. What do we stand for? Our ethos, the honesty, the trust, the transparency, do unto others that you expect of yourself. So, what do I detest is people who do not congruently stand up and do what they say they are going to do, because that in itself uh, counters my values, and that's almost like a trigger for me to sort of it depends who it is. If it's a close friend or it's a family member, I may well put my coaching hat on and open their mindset to something that they might not have necessarily observed. But yeah, stand by what you say you're going to do, because that's what creates the power of trust and integrity. Yeah, and that's huge for me. Emmanuel and I talk about that a hell of a lot, and I cannot overemphasize the secret sources in bonding and relationships of that nature, especially in the world of property. It is never about the deal. It's never about the money. It's about that trust and integrity that you have with whoever you are connecting with, or whoever is in your circle. So I hope that makes sense.
Oh my gosh, perfect sense. Yeah. So people who are not trustworthy and have no integrity, you just do not want them around you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. I completely, that resonates with me so much, because the thing is, it's for people like me, um, wired in a certain way. It's so difficult to have to second guess people. What did they really mean when they said yes? What did they really mean when they said no? So for me, when I meet and people whom I know I can trust, oh, it is such a relief, because you know that when they say yes, they mean yes, and you know that when they say no, they mean no. And life is just, and I'm just like that myself. It makes life so much easier, because you're not faffing about. I think I'm getting the red line. I hope I'm still coming through. You're not, wasting time, with things that just take up time and space when you could be doing something a lot more productive. So yes, I'm so with you on that. Right, your question number three. If you had the chance for a do over, what incident stroke time in your life in the past would you change, and how?
Oh wow, gosh, that's got me. Really tested my thinking today.
We want
Um,
to know you, Dick says. You want to get to know
hmm,
you.
I think if I had to have a do-over, and I'll use an analogy. If I was Superman and I flew back in time to advise my alter ego Clark Kent, because that's the only superhero where the alter ego is a human. But anyway, that's another side story. What would I advise myself, and what would I look back? I would take control of my to all aspects of my health. That includes not just the physical side of it, but the mental health and well-being of it. Because in the early years, again, to put things into context, I mean, I was only 24 when my father passed away, and I'm the oldest sibling, and I almost uh, ended up having to be the father of the whole family. I've got a younger brother and a younger sister, And that really it took a lot out of me, if I'm being honest. Some of my early years, I never really sort of took care of myself because tend to focus a lot on everybody else. But I now firmly believe that if you take control of your own physical and mental health, that's one thing that I would go back in time and change. Now, the reason why I'm so passionate about that, because the legacy now, because obviously we'll come on to this later this morning or this afternoon, is because I've now taken control of those aspects of my own physical and mental health well-being over the last 4 or 5 years. That's had a net uh, pr- impact and a positive impact with my two young boys who are now, wonderful men coming out of university. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm looking for gratification from them. Just seeing them get out in the best shape of their life, whether it's physical or even mental health, is a very, very powerful thing for a father to lead the way, because historically that's not something I had. So that's one thing I would change.
Oopsie. Wow. You've just given me so much to think about. And I ask these questions of, different questions of different guests, but and I listen and I think and I have a smile on my face. But even though I've asked you this question and you've answered it, and I've asked this question before, I'm suddenly now thinking, what would I change in my own life? Just in the way that you've expressed your answer. And I think that is it's so important because, when we have children, we don't realize how much of what we're doing and how we are, portraying ourselves, that is actually influencing them and their lives. And more importantly, for children, these days, there is a big issue with mental health, and getting it right, if we can. So if there are any young, parents out there listening to this, please do take heed. Please, look after yourself, love yourself. And then when you do that, it will be easier for your children to also love themselves and take care of themselves. And that, Diksesh, I love that answer. Thank you very, very, very much.
Absolutely. The one thing I should further add is that it's as a beacon or a radio channel. The more energy you have, you are going to pulse that outward bound, and whatever happens, yeah, change doesn't happen with the people around you, especially your close family and friends, by telling them. Yeah, it's actually leading by example. And eventually, what'll happen is, in a positive subliminal way, they will automatically follow in what you're doing. For example, I'll do a lot of the cooking. Historically, I've never done that until sort of 4 or 5 years ago, because that was what I was culturally brought up to do, right? And as soon as I've taken control, unbeknownst to them, they don't even know that they're eating healthy food. They wouldn't even know. I've just told them I've put this oils, this, that, and the other, and off they go, and they're loving it. And I'll give you an example: chips or sweet potato. We've got an air fryer. I just stick it in there, bit of spray olive oil, off it goes. So there are little switches that can happen, and that's positive, uh, ethical, subliminal messaging, which you can do by leading by example. And I love that, and I wish I'd picked up on a lot of that in my early years. However, I may not even have been receptive to that new knowledge at the time. And I guess we all have a flip or a light switch that gets us towards some proactive improvement in our own personal development as and when it's right for you. Hope that makes sense.
Perfect. It makes perfect sense. Wow, thank you. So that oh, no. Question number 4. I was so I was so keen to get into this a little bit more that I was about to skip your question number 4, which is a simple one, and it's a one word, answer to this question. What is your horoscope?
My horoscope, Pisces.
Ha! There we are. Your questions are all over. So Pisces, you it's been decades since I've read my horoscope. I used to read it when I was in school, so oh yeah, many decades ago. And then I started going to a church that said no, you mustn't look into these. But before I stopped looking at horoscopes, so I'm Scorpio, and apparently Scorpio people are better aligned with people born under the signs of Pisces and Cancer. So there you go. There you go. So already I'm feeling another link between us, Diksesh. That's what that's all
I'm
about.
smiling while you're saying it.
Right. Okay. So you're talking about how you might, the changes that you've made in your life and how you can impact other people's lives. So I've pinned a link above um, from your website. So this is dikseshpatel.com. So for people listening to this on the podcast, www.dikseshpatel.com, transforming mind, body, and business. Diksesh, please just tell us how as a performance coach, what do you aim to do for people? And I know that you've set a challenge, for people coming to your website, that you can actually transform what they do within 4 weeks. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so when it comes to um, anything that we do in our life, so we might be in a job or we've got a business, there are three specific pillars. It's your mindset, which is the mental side of it. There's the body side, which is the physical side of it. And then there's the business or the job, which is the physical actions and activities that we do that surround us. And so we ourselves, as I mentioned this earlier, we all are a radio channel, right? And it's up to us what radio signals we emit out, but also which radio signals we tune into. And I have a radio channel for everything. So there's WeFM, which is what's in it for me, versus WeFT, which is what's in it for them. Now, if we tune off to WeFM, which is always self-focused, what's in it for me, and retune into a frequency, what's in it for them, yeah, we will become better listeners, notwithstanding the fact that we'll be present in the room rather than thinking about what's in it for me. And any conversation or anything that we do with the people that are around us, that not only does that cement your relationship with them, because that's the foundation of where those people might manifest themselves downstream in your life. Now, so that's one aspect of it, right? So it's you. You've got to know who you are as a person. What do you stand for? What are your values? Because that's, by the laws of attraction, will attract not just people, but opportunities around you. Now, a lot of the times, I mean, I'll give you an example, especially in the world of property. I have a lot of investment partners. Now, a lot of them will come to me and they think they're interviewing me as a developer. What I'm doing actually is observing them, their communication, how they behave, whether they're firmly switched on to WeFM or whether they have my interests at heart. And and in a lot of the cases, if the values are not aligned, then yeah, we won't do business with them. I don't care how much money you've got. So on that side, again, it's all about you. Now, the most important part of the triage is your physical and mental well-being, because if we go 6 foot under, what use are we going to be to our families? It could be our partners, it could be our friends around us, and the energy like that you create by making sure that that aspect of you is, it can't always be 100%, but you want to try and strive towards 100% health and fitness, or, physical or mental. You will have so much more energy and time, and everything gets impacted. So positively, your sleep gets impacted, because you're eating well. Your body's in a state of repair when it's sleeping very well. It's energized. So once it's energized, you have more energy to do all the things that you want to do, whether it's spend time with family, whether it's focus on specific activities on your work or your business life, or even more social time with your friends around you as well. So it's massive that we take control of us first. That's where it starts. And to give you an idea, just simple changes, right? So let's take mindset, and some of that stems around communication, how we behave. So I'll give you a picture. Actually, this was me many years ago, at school Christmas parties, right? And I used to be the one standing in the corner, cowering, like thinking, "Oh, who am I gonna talk to?" Or, "Oh, if I ask that girl for a dance, she's just gonna give me a clip around the ear or slap in the face." And there was just very little confidence. Now, one thing you can do is, and this can be for people who believe they have, at a very high level of confidence communication, because even a 1% turning the screw can take you to a whole different level. So every day, have the intention to engage in conversation with one person that you don't know. It's got to be somebody you don't know, a complete stranger. And simple examples are, we'll go to the coffee shop, Costa, wherever, engage the cashier, because you'll find that nobody actually engages them in conversation. It could be anything. You got supermarket, yeah, you're there now. You've got a fantastic world out there. The field is a case study in itself. It's a training ground. Do that every single day, and then see what happens in your communication and confidence as a domino effect, with just people in your first degree circle, second degree circle, and so on and so forth. That's one little flip switch you can make. The second flip switch around your body side of it, uh, every day for the rest of your life. It sounds like it's going to be a chore, but I promise you it's not. 3 to 4 liters of water a day. Yeah, we are the human body. The biggest chunk of it, last time I looked, is water. So we need to make sure we keep our hydration systems done, notwithstanding the fact that it does flush your toxins from your system. That's number one. Number two, most people don't eat enough protein, believe it or not, every day, right? And the protein is the body's in nutrition that it's required to actually become self-repairing, your muscular systems and whatnot. So aim to eat. I'll give you an example. It's typically 1.5 grams of protein to 2 grams of protein for every kilo of weight. Now, I'm not suggesting anybody's 100 kilos here, but I'll give you an example. If you're 100 kilos, that equates to 150 grams of protein to 200 grams of protein daily, depending on your activity. Couple with that,
Okay,
get out.
Diksesh, can I
Yeah.
can I just interrupt just really, really quickly? So what would that look like? 150 grams of protein or 200 grams? What a slab of steak, or a whole fish?
I do chicken, so I'll give you in chicken breasts. Roughly 2 chicken breasts and 3 eggs, roughly speaking.
Thank you.
As for a steak, I'm not sure, because me and steak don't go very well. I just explode. So I very rarely eat steak in my diet. And also steaks that can be quite calorific. But you're probably looking at a good 300 to 400 gram steak. Not that I've looked at it from that side of it. But yeah, good question. So the last piece of that jigsaw: get out walking. Just do 8 to 10,000 steps every day. You'll be surprised the net impact of that, by continually keeping yourself moving. Movement, yeah, is massive. The body has but the body needs energy to keep itself going. Well, rather than sit in front of a TV watching whatever, Netflix or whatever, I'm not suggesting you don't don't have me time, but maybe get out walking while you're talking to somebody. I used to, during the pandemic, most of my meetings were between 10 and 1 o'clock in the morning on the phone while I was walking. Before you knew it, I'd end up like 10 to 15,000 steps. So you can multitask. So that's the body side of it. Just a simple little switch on that side, and you'll be surprised how much energy that'll create. The one little aspect on nutrition is ensure that you get rid of in fact, I'll use a positive, proactive, affirmative statement. When it comes to good fats, stick with good fats: avocado, olive oil, and nut butters. Keep it simple. Anything else that's not anything that's got fats in it, chuck in the bin. And I mean that. Go now and find out what fatty stuff you got, sunflower oil or whatever, chuck it away. It's just not good for you. So good fats are generally very good for you. And see how much energy that produces in 4 weeks' time. So that's the physical side of it. From a business perspective, um, I'm going to throw some words out there to people, because most people, I don't know what businesses people do, but a lot of entrepreneurs, by their very nature, are solopreneurs. So it's just them, right? And a lot of time, what tends to happen is there's overwhelm, there's procrastination, there's also what's the word? Lack of awareness or knowledge in a specific area. Because when you're an entrepreneur, you're the salesperson, marketing, operations, finance. You're trying to run the bloody company, and you're trying to do everything. Now, you cannot know it all. You will not know it all. It's not possible. The amount that you have to learn on the field to be an entrepreneur to get to where you need to, it's impossible, and you will not scale. And I've done this with a couple of businesses where I was a solopreneur. Yeah, I nearly went 6 foot under. It's not possible, right? So back to the overwhelm and procrastination. Just simply put, there's a little switch for you. You got 7 days in a week. There are 168 hours. Create a spreadsheet with 7 columns, Monday through Sunday. Create 2 hour blocks or 1 hour blocks, whatever suits your time. So you got all these blocks. Now fill in all the boxes that are known to you. For example, sleeping. Another example, getting up in the morning, whatever, shower, breakfast, whatever. The second part is put down me time. That's you. Forget about your kids, everybody else around you. Your time, whatever that might be. I'm going to be on a podcast, I might be reading a book, or I'm just going to go off for a walk, or I'm going to go and have some me time, go and watch a film. Whatever it means to you, you put that down. The next part is put down your family time. So your family knows that you are going to be here, now, and present, wherever that might be, yeah, and stick that down. Then comes to you, your work life, business life, whatever. You put down what the known activities are. So if you're an entrepreneur, you might have specific things that you do in the world of property, networking, coming on Clubhouse, or project meetings, or viewings, or whatever, estate agent calls. You block that out. Does this do? What you'll start seeing is white space appear. And that's where you can become efficient in terms of your activity levels. And I'll use property as an example. In order to get deals over the line, you got to get out of the front door and do some viewings. So create an activity list for yourself to say, I'm going to contact X number of agents per week. I'm going to do X number of viewings. I'm going to put Y number of offers in. To act this little activity, even say with the physical transformation side of it, doing little things daily to create bigger habits over a longer period of time that will improve you one day at a time. And don't worry about if you miss a day. reset, and it's like a golfer, or it's like a tennis player, or it's a cricketer. You take the next shot as if it was your first shot. That's it in a nutshell. Hope that makes sense too.
Oh my goodness. Diksesh, how much have you actually shared with us? I've been taking notes and I still haven't even finished. Um,
You'll have to listen
take,
to it again, the podcast.
do you know, I think I might have to. I never ever listen to my own podcasts,
Me neither.
but
I
I
try
guess,
not to. I can't listen to
yeah,
myself.
you see, that's it, me neither. But I think because this is yours, I can convince myself that I can listen to it because I'm going to have to. There is so much in here. Let me just quickly, if you don't mind, just take you back. Now, you were talking about, when you were younger, lacking confidence, being, being a wallflower a bit, I guess, just standing there, hugging the wall. But I'm just wondering, isn't this like something that most boys go through? You see, as a female, I never thought about boys and their confidence and how much you know they might struggle, and it was actually fun. It's horrible now, that I think about it. You'd stay with your friends as a female, you'd watch a boy, and if he was brave, he'd literally be crossing the room to come over to you guys, and you'd all be looking him up and down, thinking, "Who does he think he is?" And whoever he asks to dance or something, that person dare not say yes, because why would he be so bold as to be approaching a group of girls like that? And we would then laugh when he turned his back and walked away. Horrible, I know, horrible.
I
But
think, yeah, just to further add, sorry. So that was just that's early stage of example, say childhood. But if we take it into adulthood, and I'll give you example, especially in the world of business or entrepreneurship, property, even there's a lot of networking events, right? And a lot of them hopefully now are coming back to physical networking. So it's no different on that kind of dance floor. Sometimes when people go there, you got 50 people in a room and go, oh my God, who do I talk to? What shall I start? Where do I start? And it's the same principles apply, asking that whether it's the guy or a girl at first date, you're on a networking floor and you don't know where to begin. And so confidence can be driven just by talking to a stranger every day because you will get used to it. It's like driving. The more you do it, the easier it becomes.
Diksesh, I have to disagree with you on that last point. I've been driving forever, and guess what? This last year, I'm struggling with my driving. I
Oh
am.
gosh.
I know. Do you know? I went to Blue Water a few months ago because I couldn't wait to change my MacBook Pro. In fact, I was trying to publish a podcast, and then it told me that my drive was full, and I thought, oh, I can't be bothered about cleaning the drive, reducing it. So I phoned Apple and I said, look, where can I get a new one? They said Blue Water. So at about 4 o'clock, I got in my car and I headed over to Blue Water. Now, Blue Water from where I am is I have to go on the A2, and I felt as if I was a learner driver because it was dark and there weren't that many when I was coming back. There weren't that many street lights, and I really struggled. And that was the first time when I thought, "Ooh, I think my driving is actually deteriorating." And then the other day, an ambulance was behind me, and as they drove past, eventually the guy honked. Then he put his hand out of the window and signalled to me that I was in and out of the lane, which I didn't realise I was. Maybe I was. So I'm kind of like thinking I must be an awful driver right now.
Well, what's interesting is it's a great analogy actually. Is and we use the last few years during these lockdowns. A lot of sort of conversations, communications with people ended up being via Zoom or phone calls, and of course we know about Clubhouse as well. And as events have started to open up, the world's starting to unlock itself. Even I had to go back to basics because I lost my networking mojo. Because it's like you go out and go, oh, what should I talk about now? And like nothing's really happened over the last 2 years. I haven't really like traveled anywhere because we've been locked down. Holidays keep getting cancelled, and even I had to go back to basics just to get back out there, get my mojo back, getting out into the real world and conversations. And it's now starting to happen. So all my meetings that I'm having are very physical now. You know, I'll be getting out to central London once or twice a week. And if it's local, I've got the local meetings as well, which has now become face to face. But it's taken me 2 or 3 months just to get my mojo back because, like you mentioned, it's like the driving. You know, as time moved on, especially the last 2 or 3 years, you just like, oh, you just forget to do the basics in conversations, and it's not you know, it's not dissimilar when it comes to driving because I used to live in Bristol, and I remember when we moved back to London, bloody hell, it was like chaos driving. I like think I was going to kill somebody or somebody was going to kill me because everybody was just on top of you. But yeah, interesting analogy on the driving. Over to
Well,
you.
wow. Do you know? In fact, I think you've just given me an answer to this question that I've been posing to myself. Why has my driving deteriorated?
You haven't done much,
Answer:
probably. That's why.
I
Yeah,
haven't done much. Yeah. Thank you, Diksesh.
just get out of there. You'll be
I,
fine.
honestly, I've been thinking, oh my gosh, what's happening with me? I can't drive. I can't drive anymore. And I've been driving for decades. Never had. I'm proud to say I've never been involved in an accident. But there is the grace of God. Somebody drove into me, just bumped into me, really. At one point, nothing happened. It was no biggie, and that's well. And then I kind of like scratched my car driving into a narrow driveway. But other than that, nothing. And then I suddenly thought, oh my gosh, what is happening? But thank you, Diksesh. You've helped me see the answer to it. Oh, great stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, and again, the physical stuff that you said, this is something, these are things that anyone can do. Drink 2 to 3 liters of water every day. We can train ourselves to do that. Because like you said, so importantly, will flush out those toxins. Oh, that's a conversation for another day. Protein, we've looked at that, so thank you very much for that. And then 8 to 10,000 steps a day, and we should be able to do it. Can I just please, as a female, can I please just say to the guys, when you're walking around, maybe do it in a room where no one else is. My husband, as soon as his phone rings, he's up like a shot out of his seat, walking around. Walk. Oh! And I say to him, "Why do you have to walk around when you're on the phone?" Because I have to then listen to your phone. And I shut the door where I am, and he still walks around. And he says, "Oh, I'm getting my steps." And I'm thinking, but I'm having to listen to your conversation. So, a piece of advice from a woman to the men: please don't do it. Please shut
Go
yourself in a
outside.
room. Oh, go outside. Exactly. Thank you, Dixon. Thank you. Go outside. Go for a walk. Anyway, so thank you for that. Oh, honestly, there's too much to go over. I've been right, and then you block it. Oh, when you're talking about charting your week, the 168 hours in the week, it reminds me, and you'll probably remember as well, a lady in a room who talked about some particular time that she blocked into her diary, and every time I remember, it really puts a big smile on my face. And yep, yep, and she must be so delighted now that there were no replays in Clubhouse then. Otherwise, it would have gone so viral. But that was, and she is so lovely. I absolutely love that lady. But it just reminded me when you were talking about it. Oh, thank you so much. And it's the things you're sharing are things that everyone can do. No excuses, because they're so simple, but they can be so transformational. Oh, thank you, Diksesh. Thank you so much. Um, now, I've also pinned a link to the Lighthouse Capital Group. So, for people on the podcast, this it will be www.lighthousecapitalgroup.co.uk. So, or just search for Lighthouse Capital Group and it will take you there. Google will take you there. And Dick says you were saying that people, you work with lots of money people, and they think they are interviewing you, but because it's a two-way process, isn't it? Um, and you're trying to find out who they are. Whether or not they're the kind of people that you can work with, whether or not you can work together, whether or not, even if you can work together, if it's going to be pleasurable. Because right now, well, I say pleasurable because in my life right now, if I'm not getting pleasure from something, I really am not doing it. Um, because life is just so short. And the number of people that I know who passed over the last couple of years just brings it home that, make the most of every single day that we have. And that is why I say to myself, if it's going to cause me stress, I want to walk away from it. So, do you want to tell us a little bit more about Lighthouse Capital Group, your matchmaking company?
Yeah, so we're a property development investment company. We do our own property development type projects. They can range from simple refurb projects, HMOs. I mean, I can't remember how many HMOs I've converted. Well over 14, I think. Anything from 5 bedders up to 25 bedders. I do love a good planning gain flip rather than taking all the construction risk. That's also quite exciting. But the most important thing is whether we use the terminology matchmaking or whatnot, it's actually a lot of I get sent a lot of deals that come through to me, and typically what tends to happen is a lot of those developers, let's just say, lacking experience in the world of development, even although they don't know what they don't know. So we may well come in and become the lead developer on a project, either with our own funds or funds from our investment partners. And that's how we typically get projects done. The other important aspect is, and I've seen this time and time again, and I'll paraphrase one of my quotes from before: numbers are an illusion unless pre-qualified by a significantly experienced developer or otherwise, or a property entrepreneur. Because especially property development being one of the riskiest property strategies out there, we also consult on projects for other developers as well. A bit like when you bring on board a planning consultant, architect, and so on. Uh, think of us as the developer's developer to stop you from getting in trouble. So I hope that gives you a bit more background.
Definitely does. And that also dovetails into, the last aspect that I've mentioned about what you do, peak performance property. So again, for people on the podcast, this you can find at www.peak, P-E-A-K hyphen P hyphen property.co.uk. So Diksesh, tell us, how does this work? The academy, what, how do you help people? Again, 10 times, their business showing in 12 months. Tell people so that they know where to go. And by the way, Diksesh, you and Emmanuel, I need to hit you up because one of my mentees is looking to come to you guys, and I said, oh, do you know what, I'm not shy, and they can say yes or they can say no. If you'd offer this lovely mentee a discount if once they finish with me they come and join your stuff that you're doing. Anyway, so let's park that for a moment. And I'm being out there, this is going on the podcast, it's going to be there forevermore and a day. This is me asking for a discount anyway, because the mentee is lovely and you guys are going to love working with her. But anyway, so tell us a bit.
I love that. Rules are the best way because that just gives us even more confidence. But yeah, that's a chat for another day.
Yes, thank you. So, peak performance property, tell us about it.
Yes, so it's interesting actually. Done a lot of training courses. I've been on mentorships and masterminds. Um, and some have been good, some have been indifferent, some have been like, well, what did I pay for? So when I first started training or coaching or mentoring wannabe or budding property entrepreneurs many years ago, I've been doing it well before peak performance was born. I used to do it one to one, and of course, along the way, I met my current business partner, Emmanuel Ezekiel, for I think over 4 or 5 years ago, and he was doing something very similar, very very one to one type mentoring. Some of it was board level consulting, even as a board level advisor, and we decided that actually that wasn't scalable. So we decided to join forces. So we now have a property wealth academy. So when people come to us, they can be early stage entrepreneurs who don't really know anything around the property side, and we start them off with the basics and the foundations. Because if you ask most people, if I said to you, here's a buy-to-let property. If this was the monthly rent, do you know how to reverse engineer that to know how much a bank would lend you? You'd be surprised that nine out of every 10 people that come to us don't even know the answer to that. So then begs the question: how do you know how to structure the finance on a specific deal, or even know how much cash you need if you don't know how much debt you're going to borrow? So it's getting people who are early stage entrepreneurs that start from the foundation program. We've got a 12-week online foundation series that just gives people the basics. Yeah, what's a buy to let? How do you do a refurb project? What's a HMO? What's service accommodation? What about finding investors, working with investors? What about networking and relationships and building connections around you with investors? More importantly, on that little online program, you'll be left with a 90-day roadmap to go off and actually take action. So once people get past that little mini cycle, some people are a lot more experienced than that. They'll jump straight into our 12-month property wealth academy, where we will cover all aspects of residential property, ranging from refurb projects, flips, PD, permitted development. For me, the actual technical aspects of property are not as important as the business side of it. So, have you got a strategy? Do you even know what your strategy is? If you knew what your strategy is, what does the next 90 days of activity and roadmap look like to you? Bearing in mind, if you knew what your strategy is, then how does that figure out in terms of activity levels over the next 90 days? So we've got to make sure that we formulate your KPIs. How many agents you're going to call? How many viewings you're going to do? How many offers you're going to make? So strategy requires a good insights in that first sort of 2 to 3 months that you're working with us. A lot of the times, people are just what's the word, working on a case by case basis. Whereas if they come back and say, actually, what's your monthly income goals? What does that mean to you? Most times, people have a mindset blocker, is they're focusing on the money that they don't have to do any buy to lets or HMOs or service accommodation, rather than actually doing the activities to find great projects. Because if you find great projects, the money and the wealth will follow. So it's a 12-month program. We run a monthly in-person mastermind with all our students. I think we're just over 20 odd students. We're very selective in terms of who comes in because we have to have values alignment. So there is an application process, and I will speak to them and interview them as well. And if I'm sort of 100, I'm 99 or 100% there, then I will get them to also speak to Emmanuel. And once we've got a handshake between the new person coming in, and the two of us, then we set sail. People can join in at any time into the mentorship. For the avoidance of doubt, yes, we have training material out there for all technical aspects, but we are a business support and mentorship program. So when you have deals that you've got that you're processing, you need expert guidance, or dare I say it, consultancy, to make sure that you don't run yourself in trouble and lose money. So there's a lot more to it than that, but that's just it in a nutshell.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Because you see, I'm all for people, if they're doing something for the first time, going to somebody who's done it a few times to kind of like, see them through it, because there are different aspects to whatever it is that we're doing. So, again, thinking about this, mentee of mine, she's thinking about doing, something commercial stroke, a new build, which I clearly don't do. So, I would not even put myself, in that space to say, do you know what, I'm going to mentor you through this. No, my, obviously, my, well, not obviously, but, my thing is, looking at a property and making the most of it in terms of finances. But I tend to stick with, what's there. So that's how we came to be talking about you guys and how much experience you have. So, and you guys have done, and Emmanuel was talking to us when he was on here, about, the stuff that he's done, some of the lessons that he's learnt. I honestly would say to anyone who's looking to do, a commercial project, a new build, go talk to these guys first and see how they might be able to help you. And when I say these guys, I'm talking Diksesh, I'm talking Emmanuel, and I'm talking go to Peak Performance Property, which is www.peak-p.property.co.uk. Um, and they and even if you have that conversation now and you don't do anything about it, at least you can go away, think about it, and keep in touch. And then when you're ready, you know exactly where to go. So thank you very much, Diksesh, for kind of like, explaining to us some of the things that you guys do. But do you offer a one-to-one though at all? Or
It's a great question. Yeah, I think when it comes to one, if it tends to be very much experienced property entrepreneurs or established property businesses where they are looking for a board level advisor. And interestingly enough, as part of Peak Performance Property, the people who've been through the 12-month mentorship, and a lot of them are coming through that 12-month cycle now, they will be now moving into Peak Performance, what we would call is Academy Partners, which means that we will be acting as board level advisors on their businesses and all to help them navigate through and negotiate and structure the deals that they're working on so that they can accelerate even faster. And some of them are already creating little sub businesses and partnerships and collaborations within the group itself. And that's wonderful for us because between Emmanuel and us ourselves, we see things that the students don't. And as soon as Cupid's arrow starts throwing itself out there, a lot of people will see actually that person's got a skills gap, but that person can fill the skill gap, and that's how solopreneurs become. One becomes two, becomes three, and slowly but surely they can have an early green shoots of an established property business. But yes, we can do, but tip one to one. But typically, it tends to be at a warm advisor, a consultant for a minimum period of time. And the reason is, I could have a one-to-one conversation with you for an hour, and especially in the world of commercial development, you require support throughout the life of that project because there's so many moving parts and variables that can go wrong from the pre-planning stage all the way through to exit and sale of your new build at the other end.
Oh, I so agree with you, Diksesh. I really, really agree with you. And it's so, so great to kind of like see the different things that you guys do the foundation course, which is for 12 weeks, and the 12-month, Property Wealth Academy. And then, if people are interested after that, they can become Academy partners. And hopefully, you'll be able to let in my lovely mentee into the Academy partners side of things, because that is what she really would be looking for with her commercial stuff. But so you literally you offer something to everyone, from a complete newbie who will come in for the 12-week stuff and be a bit more educated, and if it's for them, because property, as you and I know, is not for everyone, and there's no point in people forcing things. And then if it's right for them, they can go on the 12-month Wealth Academy. And then again, you're going to have some dropouts, not dropouts actually. You're going to have people who will feel, yes, I've learnt enough, this is all right for me. And if anyone's listening to this, I am not putting anyone down. I do that with my own self, and I say, do you know what, commercial is not for me, new builds are not for me, and I'm perfectly happy in the space that I'm in. So when I say, some people might decide, I've got what I need for me, I'm not by any means, putting them down or saying that they've not succeeded. No, I'm just saying that that is a matter of fact. If they decide that, they decide that. And then some other people will say, actually, no, I want to learn a bit more. I want to go a bit further. And they will then and can go on to the Academy partners. People listening, you've heard it. You know, where are you in your property journey? What do you want to do? Do you think that you should be thinking about you know, engaging the services of people like Diksesh and Emmanuel, depending on what you're doing? Because I certainly think that you would benefit a lot from doing that. Diksesh, so when in peak performance, I'm assuming you also bring in all of your knowledge on the body, mind, and business into it. Well, obviously the business is there already, but the body and mind, is that part of what you guys do? I'm so intrigued, and I am so sorry because we've literally gone over. I'm going to stop in a minute.
That's all right. Yes, absolutely. And a massive, massive focus, especially when it comes to the business aspects of it, is the mindset. The mindset orientation, and how many golden nuggets are dropped every single month. And Emmanuel, actually, between Emmanuel and myself, we actually have a mindset kicker that starts off on every single monthly mastermind, and you'll be surprised how much people's thinking starts opening up when they get new perspectives. So yeah, massive. All three pieces of the jigsaw are intertwined in one shape or another, but mindset is a huge part of the evolution of a property entrepreneur for sure.
Thank you, Diksesh. So now, if people want to contact you, what is the best way that they can do so?
Oh, you'll just put your yeah. So on Peak Performance Property or even my Lighthouse Capital Group, there's email address on either or. You can either reach out to me on Facebook, you'll easily be able to find me, or even you can message me on, I think, is it back channel here? Yeah, back channel as well. I'm also on Instagram. If you ever need anything, I'm always here. And sometimes you'll also find me on the Property Coffee Meet in the mornings as well.
Thank you. So, um, um, that brings us to a close. Thank you, everyone, for spending your afternoon here with us. And I have certainly learnt a lot. Not just about Dick Sesh, but about how he does things. And he has helped me open up my mind, where I was kind of like saying to myself, "Oh, you can't drive anymore, Patricia. Your driving is now absolutely awful." He's given me something to hang my hat on and say, "Do you know what? Don't beat yourself up. It's probably for this reason, and be positive and do a bit more, and get your muscles back into knowing what to do when you're on a motorway or something." So thank you very much for that. And that is the least of what I've learned today. So much. I've got 3 pages of notes that I've actually taken, and I didn't write everything down. I know, yeah, I know. 3 pages I've got. 3 whole pages. So, Diksesh, thank
Wow.
you so much for doing this with me. And this particular recording, for people in the room, is going to be left on Clubhouse for a week. And then from Wednesday of next week, it will be released as a podcast. Thank you so much. So, everyone, have a great day and have a great bank holiday weekend, and all the Jubilee celebrations. Oh, it's going to be amazing. So, Diksesh, you are my Jubilee guest.
Thank you. No, thank you for having me here. It's always wonderful just to share life experiences and insights, because even while I'm talking, I'm actually reinforcing the things that I know. So we're all learning and growing at different places. But yes, thank you for having me here this afternoon.
No, thank you.